Alright, hey guys, what's up? This is Brad with Despite Fitness, and again, I'm back with John. We're going to do another video today and answer another question I got. And this question is kind of in reference to a viewer who is a little older. I was given the age of 58, male, and trying to get back into powerlifting to some sense. Maybe not necessarily trying to compete, but trying to be as strong at the three main movements rather. As possible, trying to kind of recapture some of the strength of days gone by. And so I wanted to try to do a fast video here with John and talk about some of the concepts and some of the things that you may want to consider, especially as you get older, for kind of getting into training and either getting back into training or starting training again for the first time. Because I think in both instances, whether you've trained before and kind of detrained or never trained at all, you're still kind of at a relatively same position of being untrained. So we kind of want to get into it slowly. And the very first consideration that I thought of in terms of an older athlete getting into training is the consideration for recovery. So I think that as an older athlete, one of the biggest considerations that you're going to have to make is your ability to sufficiently recover from the events and the things that you're doing so that you're prepared to do it again the next time around. So I think, like, as you get older, obviously your ability to recover diminishes, and so you have to make sure that you have that as kind of a priority as you approach your training. What do you think, John?
Yeah, so I think recovery obviously is paramount, because if you think of your overall schedule in the day, your training-wise is probably within an hour or two out of the day. So you're talking 22 to 23 hours out of the day that you should focus on some sort of recovery or things that can help you towards recovery. And just by recovery, man, it's simple. Like, it shouldn't be more difficult than it needs to be. So you need to be ready for whatever you need to do the next day or whatever you want to do the next day. And usually that revolves around eating better and just doing little things throughout the day and throughout your workout that can help you sleep and recover, and like kind of like your body is naturally meant to do, because that's when your body kind of reboots itself and gets itself ready from a neurological to muscular standpoint as well. Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about some nutritional things. As we get older, things change.
Yep. We
respond differently to foods or to different outside sources. And you just have to be aware of that. Different things might cause some inflammation. We need to address that. That will have long-term effect.
There have been some studies out there that I've heard referenced as well that indicate that the older you get, your requirement for protein actually increases.
Yeah, it can. I know what studies you're talking about. It can, absolutely. So I think that the tricky thing about nutrition is it's super individualistic. So we can train generally for strength and we will get stronger.
Right.
But nutrition is not necessarily like that. So I think that's where you need to do a little bit more homework and just kind of find out the demands for you and kind of what you're doing, and just make sure that you're meeting your requirements for what you need on a daily basis.
Another thing is, as an older male, I might recommend going and getting a blood test, kind of a full blood panel, and that blood test can indicate some of the micronutrients and things that are going on in your system, and that can give you an idea of the things that you're deficient on, to give you an idea about what you need to do diet-wise to be able to get yourself kind of running optimally. And the other consideration that we have to address as an aging older male is the natural production of testosterone. So that's not something that I'm willing or even all that qualified to go in depth on, but it's a fairly well-known phenomenon that as males age, their natural production for testosterone drops, and that reduction of testosterone can have a very negative impact on your ability to recover and your ability to synthesize muscle tissue and all of that. So one thing that I might recommend as an older male, provided that you have the means and the ability, would be go and actually get yourself tested to find out what your natural levels of testosterone are, and if they are levels that are deemed deficient by a doctor, maybe potentially go about options of being able to bring that up now, through medication or whatever.
Yeah, so if you're talking at it from a simple to complex thing, the most simple thing to do, I agree, testosterone is absolutely a concern, especially as you age. We know that you can moderate that depending on your activity. Not everybody's the same, but generally speaking, over time, it will decrease. But if you look at it from the most basic thing, if you don't like needles or you don't want to get a blood panel, you can get it through, I know there's a test, it's on athletogen.com. You can link your Ancestry and Me or 23andMe or whatever those little DNA tests are, and it will link based on your DNA what you're allergic to and some proper food, so at least your body's not fighting itself as much. If you do want to take a more advanced path, and I would definitely recommend that if you're more interested in it. I'm not nearly as qualified either for recommending more on the medical side, but I will say that it's very important to pay attention to, and if you have the means, absolutely check it out. It's super interesting stuff to be able to track yourself like that. And there have been, if done properly through science, doctor, you have a doctor watching over that and checking levels periodically, making sure you're staying on track with dosages and things like that. There's really no negative effect to that as long as you're doing it properly.
Under the watchful eye of a physician.
That's the key word.
And so I think even in general too, especially as an older athlete, working in concert with a physician is probably a good place to start with anyway, because there may be a myriad of issues that you begin to develop or that begin to exacerbate themselves as you get older, high blood pressure, things like that, that we would not be qualified to speak on an individual basis. But that's something that maybe you should think about addressing with your physician or someone, physician, to be able to get those specific recommendations for you, for your, specific issues and whatever else. I think that would be just a general guideline as well. You want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can for your body, because especially if you're going through and working with a physician, they have the ability to monitor your health and be able to, track changes subtly over time, things that we could never do in a YouTube video. So bear that in mind as well. But then to kind of what we talked about in a previous video in terms of conditioning, as an older athlete or even as just an athlete in general trying to get into training for the first time, we talked a little bit about slowly increasing the intensity and over time increasing the volume as well, so that you become more capable over time to do larger loads. And so for anyone that's either you've been trained before or you're kind of just starting for the first time, almost irrespective of age, start slow. Because you can absolutely overdo it, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to underdo it. So if you're not training right now, you're already underdoing it. So slowly stepping up from whatever your current levels of activity already are would be a good, safe way to kind of get yourself built up over time to make sure that you don't jump headlong and get yourself injured.
Yeah, so I think if you're not doing anything right now and you're undertrained, anything you do differently from today will produce a result. And it's not going to be an overnight result. So I think that's the biggest frustration with most people, is it's not an immediate reaction to what you're doing.
Right.
But I think just kind of trusting the process and slowly adding things in, and increasing the intensity, increasing the volume, and things like that. If you give yourself a few months on that road, you'll be night and day where you were. Yeah.
So, all right, I think we'll probably wrap it up for now, because those are just some general considerations for, say, an older athlete, specifically male, kind of getting back into training that you may want to consider. We can talk some programmatic type stuff later. We can talk some more specific stuff at another point in time with a more specific question. But I think just generally speaking, to kind of recap, a couple of key considerations are work with a physician.
Work with a physician. Absolutely just work on making it a slow progress over time. And just making sure and being mindful, listen to your body, and just do the things that work for you.
Right, and remember too the recovery piece as well, because as you get older, the more and more important recovery will be, because your capacity to be able to recover, the faculty of your body to recover is diminished over time. So you just got to understand that it's going to take you longer to heal from the same thing it's going to take a 17-year-old to heal from. So bear that in mind as well. Anyway, I want to thank you for the question. I appreciate that very much. I hope that the little bit of information here helped. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the chat box below. I'll be sure to respond. If you have any other specific questions for John, for us to maybe do another collaboration on, let me know, and we'll work on that here in the future as well. And that's it, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that very much. The channel's been growing every day, and that's awesome to see. Thank you so much. Anyway, guys, that's it. Appreciate you checking out the video. Remember, no matter what it is you think you can't do, train despite. Either find an excuse or you find a way. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.